Yeah, you've all seen Man of Steel by now, right? Cool, let's talk spoilers. And yeah, that is a spoiler warning for anyone watching this video. If you haven't seen Man of Steel yet, don't worry, I made a review, a spoiler-free review, and I made it just for you. For the rest of you, let's talk some spoilers about this movie. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who watched my Man of Steel review and recognized that the rating I would buy it on Blu-ray is in fact a positive rating, and I'm advocating that you see the movie because it's cool. Not everyone heard that. It's weird. It's a really weird thing. Logic and reason are on your side, friends. Okay, so let's talk about Man of Steel. Again, with spoilers this time. So Man of Steel starts out and it's on Krypton, and like I said, Krypton's really cool. It sets everything up. Zod stages his coup. They do have this weird system where you're like, are those the Matrix babies? All these babies are being grown in eggs like in the Matrix, and I guess Krypton, they're like, hey, no sex, dude, come on. Or they do have sex, but it's just for fun, in which case, yeah, go Krypton. But Kal-El is the first natural birth in centuries. He's like, he's special. And Zod actually kills Jor-El. I actually like that. You know he's screwed anyway. In about half a day, this planet's gonna get torn apart like a ball of clay. It was kind of cool that Zod actually got to knife him because now he's the guy who killed Jor-El. Jor-El would have died anyway, but now he's actually especially a douchebag. Then they get banished to the Phantom Zone, which is actually pretty convenient. They get banished there. 6 hours later, the planet gets destroyed, and then they get freed. They're all like, oh, Phantom Zone, I will find him. Whoa, wait, we're free. How long were we in there? Only that long. We can actually catch the newest episode of Krypton's Got Talent right now. Wow, didn't miss much except the whole planet being destroyed. Then we get to Earth and Kal-El is wandering the Earth like Kane in Kung Fu or Jules Winfield from after Pulp Fiction. He's trying to find answers, then you see through flashbacks what he's gone through to lead him to this point. I love the flashbacks in this movie because it really shows how much he got messed with as a kid and an adult. Even as an adult, he's in that bar and that dude grabs his girlfriend's ass and he's like, hey man, he's in the nicest way possible. Like he as Supermanish as he can. He's like, just back off. The guy splashes his beer in his face, pours it on his head, throws a can at him. You're like, this is remarkable restraint. Well, officially, I'm not Superman because I would have punched through the guy's face. Well, although that was cool to see Kal-El take a little back for himself, the guy walks out and his semi is just jacked. It's like up on a telephone pole with another thing through it. It looked like a teepee. It had like a 3-part kebab thing going. You're like, yeah, I would doubt you if you didn't do that. Good to know you're still a person. But he does find out that in this glacier is a ship that has his Superman suit and all the answers he's looking for with like 20,000-year-old ice around it, and it has a Superman suit in it. Alright, he needed the Superman suit and alright, whatever. I am questioning that thing when he got in the ship, that little droid, that like security droid that whipped him in the arm and it hurt him. You're Superman, it should just be like, whip. Well, that was dumb. Well, although he does crush it like 30 seconds later, so you know he's stronger than it. You can argue that, well, it was made on Krypton, and that's why, because it's Kryptonian technology and it's from his planet, and he would be weaker on his planet. I would buy that if he didn't, on a few occasions in this movie, make holes in Kryptonian ships. In either case, doesn't matter. He gets his Superman suit, and now he's Superman. But General Zod comes to Earth, and he starts acting like a dick, and so now he has to deal with that. And I love that, because that's very Supermanish, you know? He's floating there, and he's like, I want to speak with Lois Lane. Don't play games with me, General. And she's like, why are you surrendering to Zod? And he's like, I'm surrendering to mankind. There's a difference. I was like, oh, that's the Superman I know and love. Henry Cavill, on a few different levels, I was like, you're awesome as Superman. Dude's big too. The guy is enormous. After that oil tanker scene, he comes running up. He has no shirt on. You're like, dude, put it away. I don't want to feel like less of a man because you're awesome like that. Although, this is just a thought that crossed my mind. That whole oil tanker scene and it's all exploding and he saves everyone on it. Wouldn't that be kind of cool if in a Justice League movie or an Aquaman movie of some sort, they established that Aquaman was behind that? Like he's the one who destroyed that oil tanker? I think that'd be kind of cool. Just a thought though, it just crossed my mind. It's a thing that I thought about. Heat vision was really cool too. I was wondering if he would have all of his Superman powers. He does, and heat vision is badass. It's just such an intense ray of heat and lasers, like he's shooting the sun out of his eyes and you see the varicose veins by his eyes and it looks like there is a light bulb inside his head and it's shining out his eyes. And even when he's done, he's like, ah, yeah, that hurt. Heat vision was so cool. It was like Force Unleashed heat vision. Among the flashbacks establishing everything that's happened to make him the man he is today, we come to the Jonathan Kent death scene, and that was a mixed bag thing for me. In the usual Superman lore that I'm used to, Jonathan Kent has a heart attack and he just dies. In this one, he's helping people get away from a tornado, and Clark can save him, but he tells him, he's like, He ultimately tells Clark to let the tornado kill him because the world's not ready to see what Clark can do. These are two very different scenarios made for two very different situations. He stood by and he watched him die, and he he could have saved him, but he didn't because his dad just requested it, and it's a powerful thing. It's very cool. But I've always liked the whole Jonathan Kent dying of a simple heart attack thing. I've always liked the fact that of all the things Superman can do, he can't stop everything. He can't save everyone. Life will trump even him. A simple thing like cholesterol can't do shit about it. Unless he wants to advocate Cheerios. He wants to be on Cheerios boxes, then he can probably do something about cholesterol. I always liked how something so simple can make even Superman feel so small. That's almost a question, like, what do you prefer? The Pa Kent getting taken out with a tornado, or going out like Curly from City Slickers? Then we come to the action, and guys, to be clear, I liked the action in this movie. It was badass. But I'll get to more of what I meant about maybe they could have had a little less action later on in the video. The throwdown in Smallville is my favorite one. He just tackles Zod, he starts just wailing away on him. They go through the gas station, things are exploding. I'm like, okay. It's happening. I like seeing these action scenes because Superman's never really been able to show us everything he can do on the big screen in a way that's done really well. Either the movies were made so long ago they didn't have the tech for it, or when they did have the tech for it, they made him lift an island into space. But no, this throwdown is so cool because like the bad guys are doing dual techs like Chrono Trigger style. Throwing Superman, someone will clothesline him. Chick is badass, by the way. I was thinking to myself, I was like, why isn't Zod standing out in my mind as much as I think he should? It's because this chick is the villain that stole the show. She did everything. I mean, Zod had the motivation behind it, but this is the chick. First of all, she has the hottest eyes ever. This is not a bad thing. These are positives. But she's like hitting dudes, but she's going really fast. She's not flying, but I've always thought to myself, if these super people, these Kryptonians can move really fast, why don't they always move fast when they hit people? Sure enough, she's like... She's gonna jump onto a plane, her cape's all blowing. You're like, yeah, you're getting it done, man. This chick is in it to win it. She was one vicious bitch, and I loved her. She's a badass. Then a train is flying at Kal-El. You're like, jeez. And Zod's going to terraform Earth into Krypton, essentially. That World Maker thing was badass. All the gravity, it's all like... This gravity is just crushing everything. It's this circle of gravities going out, which that's a ballsy move. By the end of this movie, you're like, Metropolis really got screwed. It looks like nuclear holocaust Metropolis, which is cool. Those are high stakes. You're like, hey, well, yeah, our world ending is about as high as it gets for us. Did you guys see that LexCorp sign? There was a gas truck that was thrown at Superman. It said LexCorp on the side. I don't know. Easter egg. It was cool. But when Kal-El goes to the Indian Ocean to take out that other thing, that other side of the World Maker, they establish that getting closer to this thing might weaken him because it's ultimately creating Krypton. And we've already seen that Krypton's atmosphere makes him vomit blood and get a bloody nose and pass out. So what do they do in this scene is this ship grows hentai tentacles and it starts swatting at him. I've seen this movie a couple times at this point, and both times I was like, why tentacles? It looks like at that point in the movie, this is really the particular time where I was like, I could have done without that. You had enough going on before this scene that had a lot of action. You're gonna have more action to come. It looks like they're just throwing it on there for the sake of entertaining us. If they took out the tentacles and had some other reason for it being difficult for him to complete his task, that'd be kind of cool. You have this action sequence going on over here with the people in the plane. They're trying to fight the Kryptonian chick. And again, you have a throwdown with Zod that's going to happen later on in the movie, so you don't need Superman to really fight anything. It'd be cool to have a situation where he feels like he can't complete his task and he has to really dig deep and muster everything he has to do it, which they kind of do in the movie in the sense that he's in the beam and it's really hard for him to stand up because of all the gravity, and he does it and he flies up and blows the thing away. But if getting closer to this thing is gonna make him all sick and vomit, it'd be really cool to have a moment like Metal Gear Solid 4. You know when Snake's crawling through the microwave hallway and you feel like he's just dying? All the really sad music starts kicking on, you know, and all the ambient noise goes down and he's just crawling. Kal-El starts puking blood and he's getting a bloody nose, bloody ear maybe. Hey, hemorrhaging's never good. Then him standing up is taking all the strength he can muster, and maybe you can hear a voiceover of Jonathan Kent talking about he was sent here for a reason. Whatever he decides to be, good or bad, he's gonna change the world. Then he flies up and nails that thing, and you're like, yeah, triumph! No need for tentacles. Just, there wasn't. It's moments like that I was talking about in my review where I said less action might have been more. I'm not saying I don't like action in action movies. For some odd reason, when I said that, people heard, I do not like action in comic book movies. Where's my Superman Returns Blu-ray? They did it perfectly. I don't know why, it's a weird thing, but some people heard that. The action in this movie's badass, but there are a couple of situations in the movie where I was like, if you held back on that being an action sequence and replaced it with something that, I don't know, hits you here, you might have a better balanced movie. That's all I'm saying. And you would still have easily the most action-packed Superman movie that does exist. Anyhow, all the hentai tentacles in that situation, that's all done. The other Elias Cody has crashed his plane into the ship and they all went back to the Phantom Zone except Zod, of course. And now Zod and Kal-El get into a fight and they get into a big old scrap and he's all running up the side of buildings like he's a bulldog. Kal-El's flying at him and they're flying through buildings and a lot of people are probably dying. And then Zod's like, like, you know what? I'm a military leader. I adapt easily. Now he can fly and he can control his powers. I love how when Zod's helmet breaks and he's looking around and he sees the X-ray vision and he can hear everything. It really freaks him out and he has to adapt to it. He doesn't initially. I like the fact that this movie made it to where it takes them more than 5 minutes to adapt to the X-ray vision, heat vision, hearing everything. It takes him a day. But this is the thing where people are like, no, that wouldn't happen like that. And other people, like me, are like, that was awesome. And it's when Kal-El takes out Zod. Zod's using his heat vision. He's gonna fry this family. And ultimately, Kal-El has to break his neck for it. And I've seen some comments that are like, no, Superman would never kill a person. First of all, a lot of these comic book heroes who don't kill people have been put in the situation where they have to kill somebody. I mean, shoot, you look at Batman. People say he never killed anyone in the Dark Knight trilogy. Did he not? He did push Harvey Dent over that precipice and he fell and snapped his neck. Batman did that. Harvey Dent didn't accidentally slip off the thing. Batman killed Harvey Dent. But it's all about how they executed it and handled it. I mean, Zod has put Superman in a situation where he's like, you're either gonna have to kill me or I'm going to kill that innocent family. And Kal-El has him in a headlock and he's like, don't do it, stop. He's pleading with the guy to not do it. He's giving him every opportunity to stop this and back down. And Zod's like, never. So Kal-El just snaps his neck. He had to. The situation was either Zod dies or that family died. And even after it happened, it's not like he snapped his neck and then pissed on his face and he was like, good. No, he stopped, he paused, and he just like yelled in rage. Just yelled in pain. That's handled very well. I would argue if Kal-El didn't break Zod's neck to save that family, I'd be like, you lack the conviction to do what's necessary to save people. I do not have my trust in you. Where's Magog? Plus, Superman's been punching Zod through buildings. I'm sure people have died from that. No one cares though. No one cares. The moment he breaks a maniac's neck though, that's the line. The Lois and Clark romance, or the Lois and Kal-El romance rather, I felt worked for this movie. I never felt like they should fall in love in this movie. I felt like this should be an introduction. And that's more or less what it was. Yeah, they shared a kiss, but honestly, who wouldn't in these circumstances? Look at it through Kal-El's point of view. This is a chick he's connected with on a level he's never connected with before. She knows who he is and is still interested in him. His last girlfriend we see from the flashbacks was still dating the facade. And from her point of view, it's very simple. The dude looks like that and he saved the world and is indestructible. The fact that she didn't sit on his face in front of the entire US Army, that's remarkable restraint on her part. And I thought it was an interesting and ballsy call, yet a very cool call. He shows up at the Daily Planet as Clark Kent and she's like, I know exactly who that is. And I think that works because let's face it, honestly, I have never, ever in my life bought the fact that this chick could have a crush on Superman, work with him, and not know that Clark Kent is him. No, never bought that in my life. So I like the fact that they're like, yeah, that's unrealistic, so we're gonna do it like this. As for where they can take the sequels, I don't know where they're gonna take them. Lex Luthor's tough to do because you're not gonna have a throwdown like this with Lex Luthor, unless he has his Lex Luthor suit. I guess he could do that. I would like to see in the next one, maybe there are some people from the DOD who are not convinced that Kal-El's fighting for us. Maybe they contract through another guy in another company called LexCorp to create a weapon or something to fight Superman. Maybe it's based off of an artificial intelligence, an AI that they found in that ship that Superman destroyed. And it calls itself Brainiac, and Lex Luthor and the government and Brainiac all work together until Brainiac just kind of doesn't. I would like to see Brainiac in a movie. They have yet to bring Brainiac to a movie. I don't know, but like I said, I'm interested to see where they're gonna go with this franchise. Man of Steel was a cool movie. I did feel it's imperfect, but it's still great. So Man of Steel, have you seen it? What did you think of it? Was it everything you hoped it would be? Did you like it, but were a little disappointed, or did you just flat out not like it entirely? Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.